If you were going to make a portrait, which one of these two modifiers would you choose? I bet it's this one. In this video, we're going to talk about why soft light is king for portraits. I'm Daniel Norton, here for PPA. So that might seem like a bold statement. What do I even mean when I say that? Well, I think that if you were to survey the vast majority of commercial portrait photographers and ask them what their most commonly used lighting tools are, you would find that they are things like umbrellas and softboxes. I think less likely you'll find things like Fresnel lenses, hard reflectors, and bare strobes. This is just the nature of it. Softboxes are everywhere. They've become really affordable since I started, and umbrellas were everywhere before that, and they're still around. Soft light, by its nature, is large, right? The larger the light source is, the softer it is. Because of this, what we end up with is kind of a more versatile tool. So softboxes, umbrellas, soft light in general are the kings of portrait. Let's take a second to talk about what we're looking for when we're making a portrait. And by portrait here, I'm talking about a commercial portrait. That is, somebody hired you or asked you to make a portrait of them for some use. LinkedIn, a magazine, maybe to celebrate an anniversary or at a wedding, that kind of portrait. What we're looking to do in a portrait is capture someone at their best, if you will. That is, when you go into the fancy restaurant or hair salon and you go into the restroom to wash your hands and you look just perfect in that mirror, that giant mirror with the lights wrapped around it, it's bouncing all over the place. And what you're getting there is an idealized view of yourself. It's kind of even. You don't see a lot of texture in the skin. What you just see is beyond the imperfections, if you will. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with the camera. What we want to do is if we see somebody has imperfections in their skin or wrinkles or they're a little portly or something to that effect, we're going to pose them, we're going to light them in a way that we won't show that off, because that's maybe something they don't want to see in the photo. Obviously, interacting with your client first is key here, but I'm generalizing. We want to show them in the best light, so to speak. So that's what we're looking for when we're making portraits. Let's talk about the qualities of soft light. So you may have heard soft and hard light thrown around a lot. You may even have an idea of what you think it is. But for the purposes of this video and really photography in general, I'm going to lay it down for you. Soft light, first of all, is created by the light source being large. That is, larger than the subject that you're photographing. The larger the light source is relative to the subject, the softer the light will be. Soft light, in the term soft, comes from the transition from the neutral to the shadow. The neutral being like your face exposure, let's say, to the darkest shadow. And how smoothly that happens determines if your light source is hard or soft, like if you weren't looking at it and just seeing that it was bigger. Basically, soft lights have a gradual transition from the neutral to the shadow. A hard light has an abrupt transition. Sometimes somebody will see a shot, let's say at a distance from an on-camera flash, and see almost no shadow and go, well, that's soft. But the reality is it's not soft. It's that there is a shadow there and it's super abrupt if you look at it closely. So that's what it is. But what does it mean for us? Soft light, because of its gradual transition from neutral to shadow, shows less detail, less kind of greediness. If you took a sheet of sandpaper and you lit it with a very soft light, it would just basically look more or less flat. If you light it with a tremendously hard light, you'll see all the little grit on it. That's the difference. And skin, of course, is the same. So how do these two things align? We want to show people at their best and minimize imperfections. We want to show smooth and even skin. Soft light has a gradual fall off, thus showing less texture, like in the skin. Soft light gives us a little bit more room to move around. So when we look at these two things together, we can really see that the idea of using soft light for a standard portrait is a smart one, right? It's going to be a safe bet that we won't pull out anything that they don't want to see. Shininess in their skin that they might not love, wrinkles they might have, blemishes on the skin, right? These are things that soft light can hide really well because of its nature. So if we're trying to eliminate those things as best as possible, and soft light kind of does it. Using soft light basically gets you halfway there, right out the box. This way, we're getting it as close as possible to perfect in camera. This is why soft light tends to be the go-to for portraits. So for those of you who know my work, you're probably yelling, what about hard light? Because I love to use hard light for portraits. Hard light, unlike soft light, is meant to show detail, right? Hard light will give you all that depth and detail. And when do we use this for portraits? Well, you need to make sure that either you're looking for that. So let's say you're photographing somebody who has lots of texture, maybe a beard, or they're older and they have like a lot of wrinkles and they're okay with that and they want to show that off. Or somebody who has absolutely super smooth skin, like a beauty model. Then hard light is fantastic because you get this nice creamy, even pores on the face, right? Because they have absolutely smooth skin. Most people aren't like that. If we use a hard light, like let's say a beauty dish on someone who doesn't have ultra smooth skin with no blemishes, you'll end up having to do a bunch of retouching. And again, why do that if you don't need to? Use the right tool for the job. Use hard lights for portraits? Absolutely, with the right subject. Use soft light for portraits? Most of the time. Even though I spent most of this video talking about how soft light is kind of ideal for portraits and why people use it, I don't want you to walk away from this video thinking I should just always use soft light. That's not really my point here. My point in any of these videos or any of my tutorials or whenever I mentor someone is to help them understand why we do things. Help them understand what kind of the, air quoting here, rules are so that they can break them and use them as needed. Can hard light produce great portraits? Yes. Is hard light one of my favorite ways to shoot portraits? Yes. Is it safe? Is it almost guaranteed to give you what a lot of people are looking for? No. What we need to do then is decide which one works for the person that's sitting in front of us, our vision of them, their vision of themselves that they want portrayed, and we need to deliver because that's what we do here. We're here to make the client happy, make the client feel like they are the best they could possibly be, whether you're using soft light or hard light or any other type of light. I really want to thank PPA for inviting me here to do these videos. It's been super fun. I love sharing my experience and knowledge with you, which is what this community is all about. Please do jump in the comments below and let me know what you're thinking. Do you have anything to add here? Do you have questions? I'll jump in and answer the ones I can. I'll talk to you soon.